From the race day OTB at Century Mile Racetrack and Casino, this is the Christmas edition of Morning at the Mile. Track announcer Ken G, along with assistant race secretary Josh Murphy. And Josh, have you been a good boy this year?
We'll find out on the 25th. I hope Santa brings me something, but time will tell.
Let's get Santa to bring us some winners. We're going to be taking a look at the card for Friday, December 20th. 10 races on the card. First race at 7:15 p.m. And again, this is the last card before the Christmas break. And Josh, taking a look at the first race, for me, it was very, very hard to pick a winner in this one. This one seems a very wide open race.
A pretty competitive race to start the Friday night card off here. I think you can go a few different ways. I did go to Somewhere Ideal. I thought dropping out of the straights. Left hard from the 7-hole last time, got the lead, and prior to that, fits with these condition claiming horses. Did win her way out of the non-winners of 4 condition claimer. Why she was in the straights last time, but this is just the non-winners of 5. May have a bunch of non-4s in here, so I think this is a pretty competitive race. Dime Hanover, the other Chris Lancaster trainee, got my attention, as so did Outlaw Tootsie Roll. I thought that horse probably is going to be in the mix. Just doesn't quite win enough for me. Who do you head to, Ken?
Actually, in this race, I'm taking Outlaw Tootsie Roll. Some improvement in this one. Last one was a bit of a stinker, but again, still closing down the lane in that last race. So I'm going to take Outlaw Tootsie Roll. I do like Dime Hanover just because of the big drop that's happening with that one, but I'm also throwing in Sinalta Shade throughout that last one, and look at the second, third, and third again in that one.
Well, and Sinalta Shade have been racing the Open 5 claimer, now back in with condition claiming horses. That can make a difference sometimes, but I think this is a kind of a competitive race to start the early double.
And speaking of the early daily double, I'm going to go wide in the first race because in the second race, we have the Milers Final, the 3-year-old fillies division. And in this one, Outlaw Alley Oops is bound to be the heavy favorite.
Yeah, 1-5 morning line. I mean, she won this Milers division last time by 12 lengths. I mean, 54. You look at that, where she was 58 to the half and then 125 to 3/4. I mean, she was flying through that race on the turn. Just so impressive. Comes in on a 4-race win streak. Seems to be getting better. I mean, as long as she's remotely near herself, they're all racing for second because she is much the horse to beat.
Well, on paper, now let's not forget that there was an extreme upset last weekend in the 2-year-old boys division with Santa Claus winning with HF OPEX Trident. So never say
Dizzy Dean was a 2-5 morning line favorite, and Santa held him off there.
Exactly. I think though Outlaw Alley Oops hard to bet against this one. I think the battle is for second. I really like Rapid Reaction improving the last couple of weeks, and also What I Need Is a Man second in both the legs of the Milers in this division.
Yeah, I think it's What I Need Is a Man, Rapid Reaction. Those are the two I had underneath. They look pretty consistent to me. I just expect this to be a pretty comfortable win for Outlaw Alley Oops.
So Outlaw Alley Oops maybe the single on top, and everybody else for second. In the third race is the first leg of the early pick 3, and it's also the final in the Milers for the 3-year-old Colts and Geldings. Now, of this one, 3 of the 4 divisional winners, because this was split up into 2 divisions, 3 of the 4 divisional winners are in here, and to me, this is a very, very wide open division.
Yeah, no, it was a competitive race. You go from the fillies, where you're going to have a heavy favorite, to this, where I mean, Joe King, Rock and Roll Dragon, Flying Officer. I think the inside 5, you can make a case for any of them. I just lean to Flying Officer, the Rod Hennessy trainee. I just like this one 2-back, the 26-2 coming home. Last time kind of disappointed me as a big favorite. Lost to Joe King and Rock and Roll Dragon. But this horse is capable of better. I think now big stake money final on the line. I just expect Flying Officer to be prepared to go. Mike Hennessy does take this one over the other one that Rod trains. I just think this horse just didn't fire as well as he could have last week, but I expect a better effort.
You know, as far as the multi-race wager for me, the pick 3, I'm going to be taking Flying Officer, Don't Rock the Boat, and Kootenai Lager in the first leg of the pick 3. I think for these 3, they're all performers, and to me, Flying Officer is the favorite, but perhaps a toss-up that you might want to protect yourself as far as the pick 3 goes.
I threw Joe King in there for second. The horse, he's been kind of inconsistent, but I mean, beat a chunk of these last time, has been right there in the Milers divisions. I think this horse with the inside, if he's right, I think he's as good as anyone in here. I debated having him on top, but just went to Flying Officer, who's a little more consistent.
All right, now moving on to the 4th race, which we offer superfecta wagering in this one. Big Sure is in this one again. Road Trouble seemingly in the last one. Do you think that Big Sure can bounce back this week?
I think she will. She's pretty consistent, but I went to Big Bad Goldie as the top pick. She'd been racing this group the last 2 times, but she had been handicapped to the outside. Now she's able to drop in. She fits on the 2701, so she got a straight draw, and she had the 7-hole where she finished second beating the nose, and then the 8-hole last time was coming late, just got a ways out of it. I know she likes to come from off the pace, but from the 2-hole, she'll at least not get away as far back. I just think this is a prime spot for moving inside. Jamie Gray drives once again. She's as good as anyone in here, and with a better post, I think she'll turn the tables.
And, I think this one being a superfecta race, 20 cents that you can bet on that one might be one that you might be able to cover with a single on top and a bunch down below. I'm looking at JK LMNO as probably a player in this one, improving as well, and probably at a price.
Yeah, no, I can see that one. Has raced good 3 times in a row. You're going to get 10-1 or something like that again. He seems pretty honest right now.
All right, and then the 5th race, which is the Open this week. We haven't had an Open race for a few weekends now. Taking a look at this, Icy Blue Scooter back from the coast, coming off that big win in the Jim Vanelli. Is Icy Blue Scooter a lock on this one?
I mean, you'd have to think so. I mean, 2 sub 52 miles. I mean, 2 back in the elimination when he went in 51-1 and did it easy. He wasn't even asking down the lane. That horse could have easily gone into the 50 and change category if he'd really tried there, but he was just wrapped up by Sobey. The only question I guess you have is the 2 big races over at Fraser, the ship back. Does everything go well with that? That's maybe, does he bounce a little after 2 huge efforts and coming back over the mountains? That's really your only angle. And he does get the 8-hole to boot, but obviously been so impressive recently that it probably doesn't matter. I still picked him on top just because I think he's better than everyone, and I have to assume he is going to be right.
And the hot horse, of course, locally the last couple of weekends has been Canadian Pharaoh. What do you think the chances of that one are?
I mean, last time so impressive out of the 8-hole 55. I mean, even though the start before that, 254-2, he fits right with these. I had Sabine Pass just ahead of him. I mean, I thought in the Jim Vanelli elimination, Sabine Pass was beaten the nose by I won't do that again. The final had the 7-hole and had a bit of hard luck there, but I think it's kind of a toss-up between those two. I think Canadian Pharaoh's sharp and in form right now. Sabine Pass has got some class. What do you make of Fanatical Maniac, the other one?
I was just going to say, let's not forget about that one. There's a few here not to forget about: Fanatical Maniac, Freedom's Rescue, and maybe even Tolly Ho in that trailing position might have a shot at it if Freedom's Rescue gets way off the gate.
I know
quickly.
Freedom's Rescue's in a little tough here, but you look, what a great claim by Dave Kelly. He's having a good meet. When you see a horse that's in for 4,000 on the 25th of October, and now he's up in the Open, despite this is probably not the ideal spot for him. I mean, to win for 575, be second for 12.5 behind a legit horse in Gray Z. I think Dave's done very well with this thing, and we'll see if he can keep progressing in his barn.
Right, and don't forget, we do have a superfecta wagering on that race. So again, perhaps that one is to play a 20-cent super, singling somebody on top with the rest on the bottom. 6th race, and this is going to be another superfecta race, and this is Maiden Claiming. Maiden Claiming, wide open race. What do you think?
This is a really tough one here. I mean, you got a few straight maidens that did draw the outside. I went to Want to Be a Dragon for Joe Ratchford. I just thought that effort out of the 8-hole last time was good enough. I know it was 204-1, but I can't be super picky with times here. None of these horses have been super consistent. It's Maiden Claiming with a few maidens, like you said. You're not going to find a horse that's been super consistent, and if they have, they're still maidens for a reason. So it's kind of a toss-up to me. The other horse I was kind of looking at was Minita's Free Flight. I hope I'm saying that right. But for Dan LeBlanc, I thought qualified all right. Came home in 29-1. Outlaw Dance with the Devil, Don't Be a Glen. I mean, those aren't maiden claimers that he was qualifying against. Who did you end up on?
Well, I did take Want to Be a Dragon as my top choice because having tested tougher in the last race, but Mineta's Free Flight sure qualified sharply on debut for the Dan LeBlanc barn. The other one I'm going to is Desert Trick. Don't forget about the Don Howlett factor. Don Howlett always seems to pick the spots for his horses after he gets to see them pace at least once around the track. So I'm also throwing Desert Trick in there as my long shot.
There's even a few others in here that have, I mean, Don't Worry, Don't Hurry, Kelly Hort, Mike Hennessy, I thought raced okay last time. My Glam Gal been racing in the milers. I mean, she's one of them that's in on the maiden condition. And even a horse that, last time, I don't know, maybe defensively use it. Foxy Road Trip, I thought, was right in the thick of the battle off a long qualified on the 7th of December, but hadn't been seen since the summer. Right. Got tired late, but I mean, that was over a good track, kind of a tough track to come back on off a layoff. I thought the horse was in the thick of it for a good part and gave a decent effort, is eligible to improve second off this layoff. All
right, well, the wide open races seem to continue in the 7th. The 7th is the first leg of our pick 4, also superfecta wagering, and we have almost $1,900 going into a carryover for the pick 4. This first leg for me was really, really hard to pick just because there are so many good horses in this race.
Yeah, no, this was a pretty wide open event. The one who had been favored in this group, Ginger Beer, is not racing this week, but I went to Blink and Gone. I just thought he's put enough good efforts in. I mean, 3 back where he won by 9 to trigger our high 5 payout, and then kind of flattened the next week. But that was out of the 7-hole. Last time raced a good second. The other horse that's logically got to use is Take on the Boys for Thomas Michael Miller. I picked her last week. I thought he drove her very well. I'm interested to see the driver kings too, Dave Kelly. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
my only worry with Take on the Boys is he was 8-1 last week. You're not going to get that this week. I just think Blink and Gone might be in a bit more prime spot. But After Respect has been a very good claim for Thomas Miller. He's done well with her, and she seems to be flourishing under his care.
Would seem to be a great claim for Tom Miller. Not taking the drive concerns me. Not that the quality of driver going on it, but whenever you have a driver change and there's chemistry between the driver and the horse, you always kind of wonder what's going to happen. The other one that I think that we shouldn't forget about are Kaylee Sky, Outlaw Calamity Jane, Go Away and Play, Outlaw Stormy Weather. There's just so many to pick from in this race.
Even Your Lips to God's Ears has kind of fallen on some tough luck, but a horse was pretty consistent with this group, kind of could finish second, 8, 12, 5, didn't matter. I know she's seen some rougher times recently, but you never know. She's another one that could fill up the spot of a super or something, and you'll get a bit of a price on her too for a horse that has proven she fits with these.
I'm going to lean with Take on Du Bois, and that one is a single in my pick 4, although I'd like to spend more on it. Next race is the 8th race, which is the fillies and mares claiming 5,000. It's also a wide open race, I think. This one we offer late pick 3 and superfecta wagering. In this one, I think you can make a case for a lot in there. I'm going to go with Love That Six Pack and Shark Cove, maybe at a bit of a price. What are you thinking?
I got 3 different ones in my top 3 from you, so that tells you what kind of race this is. I went to Remember the Party for the St. Croix Horse Racing Club for Shelley Arsenault.
Yeah.
I can just make so many excuses for her. I mean, on program, 4-back made a break, then had the 6-hole at this level, came flying late to get second behind Take on Du Bois, who we've seen how legit she is. Then had the 8-hole 2 starts in the row. It's 2 starts in a row and broken one. And then last time got a ways out of it, but came home. I mean, made up almost 5 lengths down the lane. First time she's drawn inside in a while. I mean, last time when she had the 6-hole was second. And then does get Paul Davies back on board. He knows her well. I'm hoping she'll behave with him. And I just think this is a time to bet her now. She's been competitive. I mean, you look, 3-back was 2-1 at this level. She obviously fits with this level, but a couple rough starts. But I think those can be corrected. I think if that is, he'll be a good bet at 12-1.
I think there's a case for a lot of these ones. True Horizon cutting to the chase as well, gaining a little bit of confidence. Cutting to the chase, don't forget, is going for win number 2 in a row. So you can't discount that one. But I think for me, Love That Six Pack is the key in this one. Maybe everybody else goes underneath as well.
Yeah, True Horizon was my second pick in here. I mean, Jerry dropped her from 8,000 in the handicap where she'd been racing down to 5. That did it. That did the trick. Gets aggressive, puts her right back in. I think she fits with this group again. Gets the rail, has some speed. I wouldn't be shocked to see her on the lead and see how far she takes him.
Right, moving on to the 9th race, which is the first half of the late daily double. Again, superfecta wagering in this one. And if you take a look at these horses in here, again, we've got some great horses in here. Some that have been performing and some maybe not up to their potential. But I like Army Captain Hanover to come back.
Yeah, that's who I leaned on to. I wasn't really sure you're combining the 75s with the non-winner 7. I mean, it's kind of a mix of horses we haven't seen together before. But last week, Army Captain was a little disappointing for me. But the prior two, 56 and 55 and 3, paces back to either one of those miles. I think that's good enough. The horse I threw in for second, maybe I'm reaching here a little, was Southland Jensen for Nathan Sobey. Thought had been racing up higher and then did drop last time, but had the 8-hole. Gets a better post here. He's kind of one of those ones I kind of watched to see how he raced last time. And this is kind of the spot. If he's going to wake up against weaker horses, this is the time to do it. I think he's a decent enough value at 10-1. And then through Cajun Beaton for third. He's been a consistent one, but just been favored 3 times in a row. Hasn't won in those 3 starts. I've seen enough of him to bet him on top. I just don't like betting horses at short prices that do struggle to win. He's had a great meet, not to knock the horse, but a horse that does take a lot of mutual play and is always right there. But then again, I don't want a horse at 8-5 that's been second and third a few times.
Right, chalk players going for 2 in a row, and then you look at Outlaw Dance with the Devil, which has been on the shelf for a while and qualified sharply as well. So I don't know, do you take a horse coming in back from the layoff as one who's maybe well rested and sharp, or maybe that
probably needs a start? I'd say you see most of these ones that usually do need a start. Not to say he couldn't win right off the bench, but this is a pretty salty race to try to win. What do you make of the driver change on chalk player? Goes from Brandon Campbell to Jamie Gray.
Very capable driver. I think that the post is definitely going to help. I like the fact that Jamie's there. Hard to say. You never know why a driver chooses one over the other, or if it's a trainer call. But I think when you're handicapping off paper, you have to look at their performance rather than maybe even the driver.
And Jamie got along with chalk player two back very well. But no, this I think is a pretty competitive race here. I think you want a few in here, especially when combining a couple classes like this. That you got some like I said, a mix of horses. You haven't seen Army Captain against some of these before, so you're not really sure how they stack up. So I think it's interesting.
And the 10th and final is our jackpot high 5 race. This is claiming 5,000, and we have over $4,400 being carried into the jackpot high 5 for Friday night. Also, superficta wagering in this race. Aces and Deuces looked so impressive in that last race.
Yeah, I've been a fan of that horse since he showed up here. Raced very well down in Lacombe over the early part of the fall and the late part of the summer, I guess you say, and qualified well behind Southwind Jaden, who we've seen do some good out at Fraser. I think he's in the Open there this week. And then I thought first off the layoff to finish second behind Silent Rescue was dropping that day was a good race. And then made no mistake last time. He's drawn well. That's his third rail in a row. But now Mike Hennessy's on board once again. This horse is probably the best in here. I think everything points to him racing well again.
All right, and then taking a look at the supporting cast, Lizard King, who had a great early part of the meet here at Century Mile, getting back on track in the last race, winning that one. Who do you like for second? I think that it's wide open after Aces and Deuces, but then again, if Aces and Deuces, the speed caves on the front end, any one of these ones could pick it up.
I threw Lizard King in there. I know they went 56 and 4 to the half, and he was a ways out of it. They kind of were staggering to come home, but he was a horse that I kind of thought maybe it was off form, but that last race was impressive. I think he's worth another shot back in there. And I threw out Lost Stand and Deliver in for third. I really liked him last time. He disappointed me a little. I'll still throw him in there because Kelly Hort, obviously everything out of his barn's usually pretty live. Sobey does pick up the drive, but I just think I don't want him on top or even second because I didn't really think he had a ton of excuses last time.
I think there might be a case as well for Tito Santana and Westridge Warrior, a possible couple in there. Westridge Warrior looking for a second straight win after coming back from the coast.
Yeah, no, it's a competitive race for the jackpot high 5. Hopefully maybe someone can hit it and get a little extra Christmas money. We'll find out.
Well, if you hit it, let me know.
I wouldn't mind a new PlayStation game, Ken.
And just a reminder of our holiday schedule for the next week. Horsemen, we are going to be drawing on Saturday for the Boxing Day card. We are back with live racing on Boxing Day, an afternoon card, the first race starting at 1:15 p.m. And then after that, New Year's Eve, we're going to be bringing in the new year with an evening card, 7:15 p.m. Now, Capper's Challenge, congratulations to James, a.k.a. Big Ed, who won for the second week in a row. We're going to be taking a week off from that because of the holidays, and we are back on Wednesday, January 1st, New Year's Day at noon for the continuation of Capper's Challenge. And again, the grand prize on the finale in March is going to be $2,500 for first place. So again, it's been a great year of racing here at Century Mile. We wish you and yours a very, very Merry Christmas. I hope you have a safe holiday season, and we will see you back here next week.